Brown here. Welcome to another exciting episode. 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago, that photo. Look at this one here. 20 years ago. That's when I started building. And when you're young and inexperienced like that, you get given all the crappy jobs. So let me give you an example of a crappy job that I did back then that almost made me quit carpentry. We were building a 30-story building in Auckland City. All right, that right there is the second building I ever worked on. On every single level of that building, there was a cupboard that housed all the electrical and pipes and services. Now, that cupboard was about this wide, and the ceiling inside there was like 3 meters. And all those pipes and electrical, they had to be sealed up, fire sealed. Who do you think was the youngest, skinniest person on site? It was me. So I had to go in there with a caulking gun and I had to seal around every single pipe, every single electrical conduit, all the joins with the ceiling and the floor and the walls. And I had to do that 30 times because it was 30 floors of it. I was doing it for like a month and I seriously considered quitting carpentry after that and a few other jobs like that. But now that I know more about carpentry, I understand why I was doing that. At the time I was just doing a tedious job with no sense involved. But I understand the context now, and I think that is how you deal with difficult jobs in carpentry. Learn the greater context of that job and how it fits into the job as a whole. And then you understand what you're doing, you're contributing. So going back to this brooding young man who was questioning his life decisions, and if I could go back in time and talk to him, I could tell him that he's going to be in a house that he's renovating and he owns with his partner, and he's making YouTube videos about it. And I'd have to explain what YouTube was because it didn't even exist when I was starting carpentry. All these years later, he's still doing crappy jobs because they just have to be done. And that's what this episode is. We've got 3 crappy jobs that I had to do this week, and I try to give you the context about why they had to be done. The first one involves something that I usually pay others to do, getting under the house. So a bracing element, it exists in all the timber houses of New Zealand. But when we renovate an existing house, we have to update the bracing elements, certainly in the case of my house.
Hi.
I'm good.
You've got your phone on you, eh?
I do.
Okay.
So underneath here, I need to measure out for some additional nogs that go into the floor frame. These nogs are going to help us with the bracing element. So let's measure this up and then we'll get out and I'll explain exactly what a bracing element is. This is what a bracing element is. That there may be a bracing element. That is one of the walls. So if you build this house correctly, this section of wall here can act as a brace that stops the house going like this. So when you pull off plasterboard on an old house, you often see a frame that looks like this. It's got vertical studs and then it's got diagonal timber going across it. That's a bracing element. That's an old school bracing element. But nowadays, that's not adequate. That's not strong enough. In fact, modern plasterboard nailed to a wall like this is more bracing capacity than this diagonal timber. But nowadays, we frame up the wall frame like normal, and then we make sure that we have plywood across the frame, nailed at 150mm centers. But before that, we make sure we have a bracket in the corner here, and that bracket is bolted to the subfloor frame at certain points. So what I'm doing now is making sure there is timber under here so our bolts hit something when we put them in. So let's carry on doing that. So there we go, an uncomfortable job that allows the project to continue. Now that that bracing bolt system is in, I can get the bracing inspected, the council can let me align and do all the stuff in that room. The job continues, it proceeds. Now before we talk about the next job, look at this doozy here. This is a payslip from July 2004, a couple of months into my carpentry career. $10 an hour. I worked 46 hours that week, and I got $328.85. Ah, how far we've come, huh? So this next job isn't hugely consequential to the project as a whole, but it's one of those jobs that just has to be done. It's tricky because it involves gluing timber floorboards to concrete, and as you'll see, it gets a little bit stressful. Alright, this is my last opportunity to nail one of these floorboards down, because after this, it's this concrete that I'm nailing on. And I've been thinking about this concrete and how to finish it off for a long time, and I've just been procrastinating on this job. But I finally decided to make it so the floorboards look like they were always here. So we're going to lay floorboards over the top. So let's nail on the last one that can be nailed, and I'll show you how I'm going to glue it to the concrete. One of the channels I follow is Pajula Studios, and Nick is an awesome guy. I've met him in person and we've hung out a few times, and he is currently building a dining room table and he's doing posts about it, regular posts. And he started the glue up the other day. And when he started that, he said it doesn't matter how many dry fits you do, there's nothing like the stress of a glue up. I'm paraphrasing, but that's exactly how I feel right now. I had dry fit this whole floor, but right now, a little bit stressed out. Hey, we persevere. So I'm gonna stop talking to you at the moment, and I'm just gonna focus on this, and we'll see how we go. And a couple more boards. And then I've got to fiddle with the little bit at the end by the door. Oh yeah, it's feeling solid.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to.
I'll see what I got.
You just want to explain what's just happened?
So the more I glued, the more stressful it got. I tried to force it all the boards together to tighten the gaps, but as I did that, the boards lifted up, which breaks the contact between the glue and the timber. So the only nailing points I've got is over here. I've got 2 joists. So I'm frantically nailing and screwing here, or nailing and drilling and nailing. And my friend Joel just happened to be stopping by. So now he's helping me. I thought I was so prepared.
Oh, hun.
Yeah, I don't mind because there's holes everywhere. It's recycled boards, right? So I could just...
Well, where do you want to hold it most? Down?
Okay, probably...
Fancy worth.
Huh?
It's just a 6.5 and then you just screw into any concrete.
So you just screw directly, no anchor or anything?
No.
That's great. Oh, what a fortuitous time to be dropping off my nail gun.
Yeah, I thought I was finishing early today.
Thank you.
No worries, mate. I have to do something tricky here. I took this door off to get the floor in, but now I have to put the door back on. The problem is, all the things that I'm using to weigh the floor down are in the way of the door. So let's quickly unscrew them and quickly screw them back in. No sudden movement. About. So far so good. Okay, I'm missing a screw, but I can't afford to wait. Now, so far so good, but now I have to take all the weight off. This is the part I'm actually worried about. No idea if that worked. I guess I'll know once I pull it all the way and have a look at the floor. I have faith. Whew.
So there's a hole in the timber floor here, and the glue just rose completely through the hole, and that glue is rock solid, which is a good sign. That means, oh my god, that went flying. That means the glue is set. It certainly feels like it.
The floor gluing worked. Another tricky job that I'd blown up in my head into this big impossible task, and then when I did it, it wasn't that bad. You know what else is like that? Building your website. Especially when you use today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform where you can build your online presence and you can run your business. If you sell products, they have e-commerce functionality built in, including all the major payment systems. Even if you want to run an online course, like if you've got a skill that you want to share with the world, you can do it with their online courses that are built into the platform as well. And if you don't have a custom domain and you're thinking about getting one, you can do that through Squarespace as well. They have custom domains built in, and SEO tools. They make it really easy so you don't have to procrastinate any longer, and it's great that Squarespace make it easy because it is still very important to have your own website if you're selling products or services. You can't expect your customers and clients to go rummaging through various social networks trying to find your username when you can have it all in one place on your website. And if you want to try it out just to see how it goes, they have a free trial as well. But make sure, if you're going to set it up for good and actually do a proper website, go to squarespace.com/Scott Brown Carpentry, and you can save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace. Now the context of the job I just did, the floor gluing. And although it was only a few boards at the entrance of the house here, it was actually the final boards of the house. Everywhere else, the flooring is finished. So that's the context in which I did that awkward gluing. Now there is one little part that I haven't done in that hallway. That hallway needs to be completely rebuilt. And sometimes when you've got a tricky job to do, the best thing to do is to ask for help. That's exactly what I've done for this third job. Exciting, eh?
Very exciting.
I'm so excited. Is this how you do things in America?
Pretty much.
Scott Brown here. I'm emptying the medicine cabinet because we're going to knock out this wall that is in between the toilet wall and the bathroom wall and make it one big room. And the reason we want to do that today is because I want to reframe this hallway. But if I reframe the hallway into its final form, which is only one door here, then we can't get to the toilet, which would be a problem. Let's knock this wall out.
Are you going to acknowledge Robbie's presence?
Oh, hi, Robbie. My friend Robbie's here as well. He's from America.
We're trying to appeal to our American viewers.
Yeah,
Get those
exactly.
views up.
I
Yeah.
might not be the right one for that then.
Simon and Stephen. Simon and Stephen, we're here. I've had people ask me if we're going to save the timber paneling in the hallway. I've noticed this in loads of 80s movies too, this stuff.
Oh, so that used to be huge in the States in the 70s.
Did it?
Yeah,
Really?
every house had that.
Woo! You got it off in one piece, that's impressive.
I haven't got it out yet, Scott. Put it up out the garage, just as a remembrance.
Put all my drill bits in there.
very 1980-ish.
This would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like 60s and going into the early 70s it was fine.
Yeah.
And then something happened in the 70s to the 80s and a bit of the 90s.
Cocaine. It was cocaine. I did a couple 100-year-old houses.
Yeah.
I opened a wall, and it was probably a 2 meter wall, 3 meter wall maybe,
Yeah.
and not one stud was full length.
What?
Yeah, and it was an exterior wall. They had like sistered on to like connect the studs all the way down. It was the crazy. I was like, I don't even know how this place is still standing. The guy I was working for, I was just like, I mean, I have to reframe this. He's like, why? I'm like, I mean, it can't stay like this. Like you can't leave that. And we put, I put in a new window. And I'm like, it's just.
So sorry, he saw the wall and he was like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, he was like, well, it's been there for 100 years. And I was like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be there tomorrow. Like, it was the craziest thing. I was like, Jesus.
Oh my god. We get to nail the top plate up. And because all the wall's gone, we can nail it nice and straight, making our wall nice and straight. Okay.
Oh, that didn't nail.
Pro tip, put the correct length nails in. So like I would always do like an understud, then a full stud.
Oh, yeah, king stud trimmer.
King stud trimmer.
Yeah, so this would be your trimmer, king stud.
So that's what you call it?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, and then your trimmer goes up underneath your door header.
Trimmer, king stud. Look, Jess, you have a floor now.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah?
It's getting a bit filthy though.
Well, it was filthy the moment I put it down because of how messy the gluing was.
Yeah. Plus there's sort of this like initial like, oh no, I'm still wearing my muddy work boots.
Ah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's inevitable.
Things
Once it's sealed, gets sealed, it'll be fine, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I, in a totally weird, uncharacteristic move for me, ordered a bunch of plants.
What?
From Crafted Earth, who is a local nursery. Ships whole country though, by the way. He has the best flowers. I ordered a whole bunch of plants, but I can see that there are maybe a few extras in here. So, hashtag gifted, and thank you, Joe, I wasn't expecting that. Crafted Earth.
But oh my god, getting help from Robbie. That was such a huge help.
That American energy, man.
Yeah?
Honestly, Scott showed me what he wanted to get done that day, and I said, oh, I mean, don't set yourself up for failure. Maybe you should like readjust your expectations. Nah, him and Robbie did it all. I think even you were surprised.
Yeah, totally. It's easy to forget the accumulative power of more than one person. I'm always here by myself working on this house, and the reality is you don't get twice the amount of work done, it almost triples. I know I need to learn to ask for help more often.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really help with that because you just spend the whole time teaching me.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, you guys were on a mission though, like, because Scott said just be out for the day because every time I came back it was like, just like, blah, blah, blah. It was intense.
It was a Saturday as well.
Yeah, it was a Saturday, yeah.
That is also the unofficial start of the bathroom.
Yes.
Because that is the internal wall of that hallway. And now that we've opened that wall in between the toilet and the bathroom, that's the start of the bathroom.
Yeah, we no longer have a mirror. We no longer have a heated towel rail.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we've started. So let's try not leave it like that for too long.
It's often taking things away on this renovation, eh?
Yeah, like and also the main one was storage.
Yeah, we keep taking storage away.
We now really have zero storage because we haven't finished the laundry. So all the towels and the sheets and everything are all on the spare bed in the guest room, which is on the opposite side of the house to the bathroom. God forbid you forget a towel. But no, it's good. It feels good to start. It's all fine. It's just temporary. It's going to be so nice to have a new bathroom. I can't wait.
I know.
And then when I finally get to that office and put a new window in there, and that window will have a nice view of the garden, and you can look at all your new plants.
Yeah. Yeah, well, those won't be planted outside that window. They're going to be planted out the front.
Oh, never mind then.
Yeah, any other deep thoughts on the house?
New chapter.
Yeah, well, the video was about building jobs that you hate, still that you hate, and that when you were younger, they would have made you want to quit. But now you understand the context and the bigger picture,
Yeah.
and that can help you, I don't know, push through.
Yeah, or when you feel like you're contributing to something that's bigger than the tedious job you're doing, the tedious job is more tolerable.
Yeah, even to some extent, I was
think.
having that in the garden. I've been doing so much, and like the really hard jobs, like digging out whole new garden beds, they're physically exhausting, but they're the fun ones because at the end, you get to show you, and it's like, whoa, you've done so much. It's a high perception. Yesterday, it took me hours to just mulch the garden beds. It was so boring, and there was nothing I could show off.
Yeah.
But I just kept telling myself, like, this is really good for the garden. This will help it down the track. It's not glamorous. It's not going to be satisfying, but it's good. And it's telling you, and you're like, that's exactly how I feel about the house.
Yeah, like when I was putting those bolts in, I was like, this bolt is making the house stronger. And then I did that like 10 times in that room. Every bolt's making it stronger.
So yeah, the things that make you want to quit your job, whatever that may be, either you should, because if you're unhappy, don't stay there.
Yeah.
Or perhaps the wider context, understanding your role in the big picture.
Maybe that helps.
Maybe that helps. Maybe. Who are we to give advice?
I don't
Just
know.
a couple of suckers taking 4 years to renovate their 100 square metre house.
It's technically 3 if you take away the year we had off. And then we took about 6 months to get started because, we had to wait for plans. And then if you add all those things together, minus holidays.
Doing it real fast.
See you in the next exciting episode.